Good morning, everybody. So today I'm going to share from Genesis. I'm going to be reading Genesis chapter 40, verses 9 through 14, and then I'm going to be reading chapter 40, verses 20 through 23. So let's get started. So the chief cupbearer told his dream to Joseph and said to him, "In my dream, behold, there was a vine in front of me, and on the vine were 3 branches. And as it was budding, its blossoms came out, and its clusters produced ripe grapes. Now Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, so I took the grapes and squeezed them into Pharaoh's cup, and I put the cup into Pharaoh's hand." Then Joseph said to him, "This is the interpretation of it. The 3 branches are 3 days. Within 3 more days, Pharaoh will lift up your head and restore you to your office, and you will put Pharaoh's cup into his hand, according to your former custom, when you were his cupbearer. Only keep me in mind when it goes well with you, and please do me a kindness by mentioning me to Pharaoh and getting me out of this house." All right, now this is the start of verse 20. "Thus it came about on the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast for all his servants. And he lifted up the head of the chief cupbearer and the head of the chief baker among his servants. He restored the chief cupbearer to his office and put the cup into Pharaoh's hand. But he hanged the chief baker, just as Joseph had interpreted to them. Yet the chief cupbearer did not remember Joseph, but forgot about him." Okay, so I didn't read the part about the baker, but basically, sorry, I'm doing a little bit of highlighting here. Basically, 2 of Pharaoh's servants were put in jail for whatever reason. Joseph was put in jail. Well, the 2 servants had dreams, and Joseph interpreted the dreams for him. Cupbearer was a good interpretation. Well, the baker's wasn't not so good. But the reason why I want to focus on the cupbearer is because Joseph asked him to remember him when the Pharaoh's kind to him and mention him to so that he can get out of the dungeon. Of course, cupbearer had good news. He was going to be restored back to his position with Pharaoh. Now, as far as the dream and the interpretation for us today, I kind of account this to our relationship with God, how sin separated us from God, but Jesus came in, and Jesus restored us to God. And then Jesus makes things well for us all. And then unfortunately we're like the cupbearer, who when things go good and are good for us, maybe through an answered prayer that we asked of God or of Jesus, and when everything's at its best for us after this request or whatever, how we often tend to forget about the blessing, about who caused the blessing. Because much like the cupbearer who didn't mention Joseph, we forget to thank or share the good thing that Jesus did for us. It's kind of it's kind of hard for me to try to figure out how to put into words what the Holy Spirit was showing me through all this. So I forgive if I'm a little bit confusing, or please forgive me if I'm a little bit confusing on this. But I guess the basis of it is sadly we too often tend to forget Jesus and his blessings that he gives us. After he gives them to us. Now, it's not to say that we will always forget them, because later in chapter 41, which about 2 years later, the cupbearer does remember Joseph and tells Pharaoh about Joseph, because Pharaoh had a dream that nobody could figure out. So, but it took 2 years. So, I guess in regards to that, and trying to thread what I'm trying to say here, is that it's more of a at the moment thing. I guess is what I'm saying. It's like we too often at the moment in our joy of whatever blessing we got or whatever good thing happened to us, we forget to remember the one who caused it, the one who enabled us to have this blessing or this great news or whatever, and that's Jesus Christ and God's will. And we need to try not to be like that. And it's not to say that we won't, ever remember, because a lot of times, if I'm guilty of this, and then later on, much down the road, I may be having some troubles or whatever, and then similar situation comes up, then I remember at that time, oh yeah, Jesus did this for me back then. Then I remember the good blessing that I had forgotten about at the moment when confronted with a problem in the future. So, all I have to say is that we need to do our best not to forget to thank God and to share God and to share Jesus at the moment that we are having this blessing or this celebration or this great rejoicing or this great reward, wherever you want to have it. We need to try to remember to thank Him and to mention Him to others then. Let's try not to wait, i.e. 2 years or whatever it is, down the road. Let's not try to wait to remember it down the road and go, oh yeah, I remember this happened, this, and this is what it is. I mean, yes, it's great to remember it in the future, but we need to be careful to make sure that we're thankful and remember in the moment as well. Anyways, I love you guys. Be blessed, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.